Afghanistan, December 2012. 12 years into America's longest war. While most of the world prepared for the holidays deep in the rugged mountains of Laghman province, an American doctor was fighting for his life. This is the story of Dr. Dilip Joseph, a man who dedicated his life to healing the wounded in one of the world's most dangerous places. It's a story of faith tested by terror, of an unlikely connection formed between a doctor and his captors, and of the extraordinary sacrifice made by America's most elite warriors to bring him home. This is the true story of the Navy SEAL rescue of Dr. Dilip Joseph. Dr. Dilip Joseph wasn't a soldier. He wasn't looking for glory or adventure. He was a medical director for Morning Star Development, a non-profit organization training healthcare workers in rural Afghanistan. Since 2008, Joseph had made 10 trips to Afghanistan, traveling to remote villages where medical care was almost non-existent. He knew the risks. He understood that the Taliban controlled much of the countryside. But for Joseph, the calling to help was stronger than the fear. December 5, 2012, started like any other mission day. Joseph, along with his Afghan driver and interpreter, spent the morning at a rural medical clinic in eastern Kabul province. They treated patients, trained local healthcare workers, and shared knowledge that could save lives. As they drove back to Kabul around 3:30 p.m., winding down narrow mountain roads, Joseph had no idea his life was about to change forever. The attack came without warning. A man with an AK-47 stepped into the road. The driver slammed on the brakes. Within seconds, armed men emerged from all sides, 2 from the front, 1 from behind. They were surrounded. Joseph would later recall his first thought. The gunmen looked at their captives, trying to determine who was the foreigner. Joseph, being of Indian ethnicity, didn't immediately stand out. But when the Taliban searched his backpack and found his American passport, everything changed. They had captured an American. The 3 men were forced into their vehicle and driven to a remote valley. From there, at gunpoint, they began a grueling 9-hour march high into the mountains. With each step, Joseph's hope of survival diminished. The Taliban demanded a ransom of $300,000. Joseph knew his non-profit organization couldn't pay it. He knew what happened to hostages when ransoms weren't paid. As they climbed higher into the darkness, Joseph prepared himself for death. For 4 days and 4 nights, Dr. Dilip Joseph lived in constant fear. He was moved from location to location, always under guard, always aware that his execution could come at any moment. But something unexpected happened during those 4 days. Joseph made a decision that would define his captivity. He decided not to die angry. Through his interpreter, Joseph began to talk with his captors. Most responded with threats and hostility, but one young man was different. His name was Walika. He was only 19 years old. As Joseph shared his own life story, his desire to help people, his family back in Colorado, his faith, the young Taliban fighter began to open up. "All I've seen in my life is killing people," Walika told him. "This is all that I've seen from my father." In those conversations, Joseph saw something he never expected to see in his captors: humanity. These weren't just faceless terrorists. They were men trapped in cycles of violence, products of a war that had consumed their entire lives. Walika treated Joseph with unexpected compassion, yet Joseph never forgot that this same young man was trained to kill without hesitation, a walking contradiction of innocence lost and violence learned. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Colorado, Joseph's family endured their own nightmare. And at Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan, U.S. military intelligence was working frantically to locate him. Intelligence reports revealed that Joseph was being held in a remote compound in the Kargahi district of Laghman province. More critically, they learned he might be moved to Pakistan within days, or killed. Time was running out. General John Allen, the top U.S. commander in Afghanistan, made the call. They would launch a rescue mission. But this wasn't a mission for regular troops. They called in SEAL Team 6, the same elite unit that had killed Osama bin Laden just 18 months earlier. The mission would be led by experienced warriors, men who had volunteered for the most dangerous assignments imaginable. Among them was a young chief named Edward Byers and a highly decorated petty officer named Nicholas Cheke. They knew the odds, they knew the risks, but an American was in danger, and they were going to bring him home. December 8, 2012. Shortly after midnight, Navy helicopters dropped the SEAL team into the darkness of Afghanistan's eastern mountains. From there, they faced a 4-hour march across primitive footpaths and treacherous terrain to reach the compound where Joseph was held. This was a volunteer mission. Every man on that team knew they were trading personal security for speed. Surprise and aggression were their only advantages. Success meant getting to Joseph before the Taliban could execute him. Failure meant they might not make it home. Inside the compound, Dr. Joseph lay on the floor of a small, pitch-black room. He had a runny nose and was trying to clear it quietly with a handkerchief. Even in captivity, he was mindful of Afghan customs. He heard a dog barking outside, then sheep making noise. He thought little of it, just restless animals in the night. Then he heard something else, gunshots. Joseph's heart raced. Taliban guards scrambled. Loud voices commanded them to stand down. But Joseph didn't understand what was happening. Was this infighting? An execution? Then he heard something in English. "Is Dilip Joseph here?" That's when he knew. This was a rescue. The SEALs had approached to within 25 meters of the building when a Taliban guard spotted them. Petty Officer First Class Nicholas Cheke, the point man, immediately engaged the guard and sprinted toward the door. The door wasn't a door at all. It was 6 layers of wool blankets cemented into the door frame. As Cheke tore through them and burst into the room, Taliban fighters inside opened fire with AK-47s. Cheke was hit, a single shot to the head. Chief Edward Byers was right behind him. Without hesitation, Byers pushed through the doorway into the firefight. He immediately shot one guard aiming an AK-47 at him. Then he saw another figure darting across the floor toward the corner, where weapons were stored. Byers had a split-second decision to make. Was this the hostage trying to escape, or an enemy going for a gun? He tackled the man to the ground, pinning him down with his body. With one hand controlling the struggling figure, Byers used his other hand to adjust his night vision goggles. Once focused, he realized this wasn't the hostage. Byers shot the man beneath him. Other SEALs were now flooding into the room, calling out for Dr. Joseph. Finally, from somewhere in the darkness, a voice responded in English. "I'm over here! I'm over here!" Byers immediately leaped across the room and threw his body on top of Dr. Joseph, using his own body armor to shield the doctor from the bullets flying across the confined space. But the fight wasn't over. As Byers protected Joseph, he realized another Taliban fighter was within arm's reach, lunging toward the weapons in the corner. Byers reached out and grabbed the man by the throat, pinning him against the wall. "By the grace of God," Byers would later say, "the enemy was just close enough." He held the Taliban fighter by the throat with one hand while his teammates eliminated the threat. The entire firefight lasted less than 60 seconds. When it was over, 7 Taliban fighters lay dead. So did Walika, the young 19-year-old who had shown Joseph compassion. As Joseph was led out of the room, he locked eyes with the teenager one final time. And in the doorway, Navy SEAL Nicholas Cheke lay mortally wounded. The SEALs quickly escorted Dr. Joseph out of the compound. He was shaken but unharmed, a miracle given what had just transpired in that small room. As the extraction helicopter approached, Edward Byers turned his attention to his fallen teammate. A former hospital corpsman and certified paramedic, Byers immediately began providing aid. During the 40-minute flight back to Bagram Airfield, Byers and the team medic performed CPR on Nicholas Cheke. They tried everything they knew to save his life. It wasn't enough. Petty Officer First Class Nicholas Cheke was pronounced dead upon arrival. He was 28 years old from Monroeville, Pennsylvania. He had joined the Navy in 2002, became a SEAL in 2004, and had dedicated his life to serving his country. A few days later, Dr. Dilip Joseph returned home to Colorado Springs. He reunited with his wife and 4 children, a reunion that would never have happened without the sacrifice of Nicholas Cheke and the bravery of Edward Byers and the entire SEAL team. In a statement, Joseph's family said, "We could not be more grateful for that soldier's heroism and for the bravery of all involved in the mission to bring Dilip home." On February 29, 2016, President Barack Obama awarded Senior Chief Special Warfare Operator Edward Byers the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military decoration. Byers became the first living Navy SEAL to receive the Medal of Honor since the Vietnam War. During the ceremony, Dr. Dilip Joseph was there, watching as the medal was placed around the neck of the man who had saved his life. Today's ceremony is truly unique, a rare opportunity for the American people to get a glimpse of a special breed of warrior that so often serves in the shadows. When Byers spoke about the mission, he was characteristically humble. He insisted the real hero was Nicholas Cheke. "Nick paid the ultimate sacrifice," Byers said. "He died a warrior's death, so he's an American hero for giving his life to rescue another American." Edward Byers remains on active duty with the Navy SEALs. He has refused to write a book or do interviews beyond what's required for the Medal of Honor. He's a member of what SEALs call the silent professionals, warriors who do their job in the shadows, seeking no glory, no recognition. Dr. Dilip Joseph wrote a book about his experience called Kidnapped by the Taliban. He has dedicated his life to honoring Nicholas Chekai's sacrifice by continuing to save lives through his medical work. As for the experience itself, Joseph says it taught him something profound. Even the Taliban can be reached, because at the end of the day, they realize that this is a dead end, what they're doing, and they're also having the simple desires that you and I have for a better future, better education for their kids.